Hi there, it's Carla again. Since I wrote The Language of Emotions back in 2010, people like to send me links to articles about emotions that are terrible articles. That sometimes people are being helpful and saying, Carla, can you believe someone just said this about anger or shame? Like that, they're the worst emotions and you should never have them. And in my work, I treat all emotions as an intelligent system. None of the emotions are negative, none of the emotions are positive. They're all completely necessary to just the basic functioning of your entire human organism, right? But emotions aren't treated that way. Emotions are treated as problems or as rewards. And that's very problematic as it is. So people are always sending me these ridiculous stories. Many of them psychological research papers. It's everywhere. So it's kind of a joke. People say, hey, Carla, look how awful this is. I'm like, yay, thank you. Somebody sent me one saying that researchers who study the facial expression of emotion, had decided that there's only 4 emotions in the human repertoire, that every emotion is just a part of these 4. And I went, what are they saying now? So I went and looked at the story, and it said that these 4 emotions are anger, sadness, fear, and happiness. That's all you get. And I thought, well, this is silly, but it's based on the facial expression of emotion. And if you know more than 10 people in your life, you know that there's not really a way to tell when most people are expressing emotion. Most of us have learned very early how to hide emotion. So let's look at this. Is that a smile? It's not. Look at my arms, right? And my eyebrow went up. That is anger. But it looks like a smile, right? So the idea that everybody smiles and it's like this and everybody feels happy and we all know exactly what other people's faces are expressing is kind of nonsense. An actor I know said that a bad actor will, if the script says he's angry, a bad actor will go like this. A good actor might show many different layers of hiding the anger, right? Those of us who are good actors in the world know how to hide emotions. So our facial expression of emotion may be completely different than what they write in the books. So this, for me, with the eyebrows like this is me thinking. People think I'm angry when I'm thinking. I've learned to stop, and I've grown bangs because really it throws people. But for me, this is anger. Look at my nostrils, right? Nobody would know that's anger unless they knew me, okay? Or they know bulls, because bulls flare their nostrils too, right? So the idea that faces are reliable ways to tell what people are feeling is really not true. It is especially not true for people whose neurology is not typical, right? So for autistic people, facial expression may be very different than what you expect to see on your neurotypical friends. People with ADHD, with Tourette's, people who are bipolar, people who are very depressed. There are all kinds of ways that this facial expression of emotion can really backfire. So I don't even focus on facial expression of emotion. I find it really unimportant, okay? And I think this study told me why. Because, these people who went all over the world looking at facial expression of emotion came back with this amazing idea that there's only 4 human emotions, which is absurd. But when I kind of sat with it, I went, wait a minute, angers, fears, sadnesses, and happiness. And I went right away to the language of emotions. And I went through it and I went, I had already organized the emotions into 4 categories. Although I don't sort of separate them by page, but I've got all the angers in one place, all the fears in one place, all the sadnesses in one place, and all the happinesses in one place. So I do not agree that there are only 4 human emotions. There may be hundreds, right? But I do agree that there are 4 basic categories of human emotions. So let's talk about them. The angers, what are they for? What is this category of emotions for? We will talk in future videos about each of the emotion, but let's look at them now as as a group of emotions in the anger category. So what I have found is that the angers as a group, and this is anger, apathy, and boredom, which is a mask for anger, guilt and shame, incredibly important emotions for empathy and for your social viability and your social capacities, and hatred and disgust, brilliant emotions if you know how to work with them. And as we all know, if people don't know how to work with them, whoa, they're awful. But it's not the emotions that are awful, it's what people are doing with them. Okay? So the angers tell you when a boundary has been crossed or a rule has been broken, and they set behavioral guidelines for you and others. That is their job, right? It's interesting to think of them that way. And so when they come up, for instance, when anger comes up, a lot of people go, who can I beat up? Or how can I repress this so nobody knows? Rather, to know that anger is about behavior and rules and boundaries, you can say, anger's coming up. A boundary's been broken somewhere. Where is it? How do I reset that boundary in such a way that I don't hurt others, right? When you know what emotions are for, you know how to work with them in a way that is intelligent and kind and respectful. So the sadnesses are next, and the sadnesses are a wonderful watery group of emotions that help you release things that aren't working and to mourn things that are gone so you can relax, let go, and rejuvenate. The sadnesses are sadness, grief, depression, and even the suicidal urge, which is a very scary emotion to feel and to know that your friends are feeling. But it does have a purpose, and we will talk about it. The suicide urge comes and says, look, we're done. That's it. And the work with the suicide urge is to know that, no, you don't kill yourself, right? You end things with finality so that you can be free. You don't have to die when the suicide urge comes up. And it's important to let people know that. A suicidal urge is one of the emotions or situations that comes forward to help us when things, when all hope is gone, when all hope is lost. And it's a really important emotion, just like each of the sadnesses are. The third category of emotion is the fears. And the fears are a wonderful group of emotions that most of us have been taught to hate. And that's really sad. The sadnesses, right? The fears are your intuition and your instincts, and they arise in the presence of change, novelty, or possible hazards. The fears are fear, confusion, which is the mask for fear, worry and anxiety, envy and jealousy, two brilliant emotions that help you maintain your position in the social world. And shock and panic. Panic and shock come forward when your life is actually threatened, and they have three and only three movements they can make, which is fight, flee, or freeze. When you need to do that, shock and panic are your best friend, right? It's important to have access to these emotions because they're part of saving your life. And the fourth kind of emotion is the only one that people like, which is the happinesses. The happinesses arise to help you look forward or toward yourself with hope, satisfaction, and delight. And they are happiness, contentment, and joy. Now we'll talk more about each of these emotions in future videos, but I just wanted you to start thinking about emotions in terms of their fourness, right? And if you have trouble identifying emotions, what about if you just look at four and you can ask yourself, am I feeling a happiness, a sadness, an anger, or a fear, right? It makes it much easier. In my work, I identify 17 different emotions. A lot of theorists identify different or other numbers, but I found that after, 40 years of working with emotions, that these 17 emotions that I've just listed for you are the ones that it's important to understand. Other emotional categories may be just parts of that emotion. So you say, what about frustration? I'm like, that's in anger. What about rage? Well, that's in anger. We can sort of take all of the different emotional colors and shades and get them into these 17 emotions. So as you move ahead thinking about emotions, think about the four. Are you in one of the angers, in one of the fears, in one of the sadnesses, or one of the happinesses? Each category has a really important thing to tell you, really important gifts and skills to bring you, and really important and necessary reason for arising. Welcome your emotions, whether you want to work with 4 or 17. They're all here for you. Thanks. See you soon.